Was the kill zone marked? What do you think the answer to that is? Absolutely. Remember, I told you earlier that these guys, when they determined that Elm Street was going to be the kill zone, they had to walk it. They had to know how far things were. They had to designate zones for each team. Because we don't want to have the same, every team shooting at the same hole. You want to, if he gets out of this area alive, then the next team shoots this zone. You follow? Because there's designated zones for the firing team. This is Bill and Gail Newman with their son Clayton and Billy. They were standing on the north side of Elm Street when the president passed, between 12 to 13 feet from them when the president got shot in the head. Can you imagine living through that for 60 years? Gail Newman is still traumatized by that. I would be too. Their concern is to cover their kids up because the shot went right over their head. But in the background, you see Elm Street, south curb. I've blocked out this area here. There's a yellow mark painted on the face and the top of that south curb. There's more than one of those around the entire length of Elm Street in the kill zone. I'll show you. Trust me, there are more. This is taken by the FBI's Secret Service reenactment in 1963 in December in Dealey Plaza. From Zapruder's position on the pedestal where he filmed it as the president's car was under fire. There's a mark on the curb right there, and there's another one right there. There are 7 marks from back towards Houston Street on that side of the street only, on the top and the face of that sidewalk, of that curb. That's suspicious to me. Of course, I know what they used it for. Zone designations for killing the president. Here's a color version of a reenactment photo. Everybody see that yellow mark on that curb? We know they were there because the photographs show that they were there. But we also have testimony, or not testimony, but we also have the story and statement from another person. I'll tell you that in just a second. Here's the Secret Service, Secret Service reenactment looking back to the east on Elm Street. There's a mark there, and there's a mark there. Same 2 marks. They're there. Clearly, they are there. This is the last one. We're about 15 feet east of the triple underpass. That's the last mark. The president was killed right in here, but there's designated zones continue all the way back on Elm Street, on that side only. Now, why would they only put them on one side? Anybody got a guess? Why were they on one side only? That's where the shooters were. They're on the opposite side of the street. And they're up high. So the guys up high can see the part of the paint that's on the top of the curb, and the guys on the north side can see it's on the face of the curb. That makes sense? That's the way I see it. These guys are good. Now, the question is, when did Lee Oswald paint that on the side of the curb? I don't know. Where did he get the paint? And where did he take the paint after he painted them? And these things are only about 4 feet long, 5 feet long, and they're about 15 to 20 feet apart. We know they were painted that day, the day before or the day of the assassination, probably the early morning hours when nobody's going to stop and go, "What are you doing? Get out of here, you don't want to know." There's a Zapruder frame 309. There's the president about to get one in his head. There's the yellow mark right there. Can you all see that? It's clear as a bell. That to me is a bell ringing clue. Multiple people were doing this. When did Lee paint those? I don't know. There's another one right there. Malcolm Summers. I interviewed him before he passed away. He said he was standing on the south side of the curb, or south side of Elm Street. Shots ringing out. He says, "I'm in the line of fire." He threw himself down on the ground. After all the cars, some of the cars passed, and everybody's rushing up the hill towards the picket fence, Malcolm said to us that he ran up there just like everybody else did. It's like when hey, there's a fight, let's go watch. They think they maybe they captured somebody. And Malcolm says that when he got to the top, the second landing, the flat part, looking up, he says he sees a guy coming out from behind the fence wearing a white Stetson hat, suit, with a coat over it, like a raincoat over his arm. And as Malcolm approached the top of the steps, he saw the barrel of a gun sticking out from underneath this guy's coat. And he said, the man said, "Don't come up here, you could get shot too." Malcolm, "No problem." Well, who was that guy? He didn't flash a badge at Malcolm. He just said, "Don't come up here, you get shot." Okay, you got me convinced. I'm not going up there. So when were these painted? There's a really good picture of it right there. That lady said, "I saw a man shooting from that 3-trunk tree over on the north side of Elm Street." That's a beautiful picture of you, dear, by the way. Beverly was there. There's no doubt in our minds that she was there. We also know that she was there because we have evidence. The 3-trunk tree is this guy right here. Is that right, Beverly? Close, right there. There's the steps that Malcolm Summers ran up, and then right about in this area, this guy steps out with a gun under his coat. There's that 3-trunk tree. I call it Beverly's tree. There she is, right there. Charles Bremen, his son Joey, Gene Hill, Mary Moorman, Gail Newman, Bill Newman, spotters, rest of the crowd's coming into the Dealey Plaza area. There's Beverly in the Orville Nix film. She's panning, I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but it appears that she's panning her camera with the car. There's three guys standing on the steps up here. One of them we know is this guy. Gary, is this Emmett or is this Emmett? Middle one is Emmett Hudson. He's the groundskeeper of Dealey Plaza. We don't know who these two other guys are. They disappeared. They didn't give a statement. They didn't do anything. They're gone. But there's the cars under fire. There's a little halo of pink something or lighter colored. President Kennedy just got hit in the head. There's Beverly and the Marie Muchmore film. Beverly was in Dealey Plaza, just so you know. Yes, ma'am. I know, and I got a picture of it right here. This is Bobby Hargis, the Dallas police officer on the motorcycle. He was riding next to the president's car and got splattered with the blood and brain material from the president's head. There's Mary Mormon and Jean Hill on the ground. Charles Brem. This is a brave lady, guys. She's standing up. There were people shooting, and she's standing up. Don't tangle with Beverly Oliver, I'm telling you. She can face down a bullet. There's a cop running towards the danger. And some of you may have seen the new documentary, the National Geographic thing, three-part series, and the narrator said, after showing all these people running, the narration says, and people were running out of the area of danger. They were not. They were running towards the danger because they may have seen or heard, hey, we got the guy, let's go get him. He wouldn't last for trial because they'll take care of him in Texas. This mark right here is the one that Beverly Oliver stepped in, I believe, on the day of the assassination. There's the curb. I took this, 5 years ago. The paint chips are still there. That's good paint on concrete. Everybody in this room that knows how to drive, or is a driver. You all know what yellow paint on the curb means. No parking, right? Where do you park in a 3-lane roadway? Why would they have no parking zone? There's no parking anywhere on Elm Street or Commerce or Main. It's a 3-lane roadway. Why would they need to put yellow paint down on the road or on the curb for designating color or designating kill zone? So we know that paint was fresh. There is Beverly Oliver's shoes that she allowed me to take a picture of. It still has yellow flakes on it. I suspect that was painted, those stripes were painted that night and it didn't get dry. And when Beverly walked across it at 12:30 or 12:35 in the afternoon of the next day, it's still wet. That's called forensic evidence. We can prove that those shoes made contact with that fresh yellow paint. And of course, she said she was there, so there you go. You've got corroborating evidence and you've got physical evidence. She was there, she walked on the paint. The paint shouldn't have been there. It wasn't on any of the streets from Love Field to Dealey Plaza. It was only on Elm Street on one side.